hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show. I, of course, am Mr. Warren Hayes, and this is a podcast about professional wrestling, where we talk about the week's events, news, reviews, previews, all in one place. Hi, welcome. I'm a little early this week. If you're listening to this right now, either on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes or on your favorite podcast application, it is Tuesday, and I usually release the podcast on Wednesday. But as I mentioned last week, little programming switch this week. We're releasing on Tuesday because I usually record live on Tuesday nights, but we've got NXT Dinomania happening tonight, happening on Tuesday. So I figured, hey, let's just step away and do this on Monday, get everything out. Because I want to be part of the proceedings. I want to watch the war. I want to see how this unfolds. And so should you. So that's why I'm here. So hopefully you'll be able to get this on time. And if not, it's fine. You can also listen to this on Wednesday or whatever. Look, thank you for being here. If you're watching on YouTube right now, a like and a subscription would be fantastic. And a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, 5-star review on Spotify for the audio side of things would also be tremendous. And just as a reminder, we do record live every Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern. If you do want to pop in, there's a lot of stuff that we discuss that I chat with the live chat that doesn't make to final cut here that could interest you, that you could have some fun with, that you'd be like, oh, this is pretty fun. So if you ever can, you're more than welcome. We'd love to have you. Thank you for being here. Otherwise, in the meantime, you can join the Mr. Warren Hayes Show Discord to continue talking about pro wrestling with other pro wrestling fans. The link is in the description. Other than that, hey, we've got a packed show tonight. We're going to get to it very, very quickly. But look, I'm going to preview the Tuesday night stuff. Maybe it's already done by the time you're listening to this. Maybe. But at least I'll be on the record, right? We're going to talk about WrestleDream numbers, WWE in Japan, the rumors of CM Punk returning. Plus, we're previewing we're reviewing WWE Fastlane, New Japan Destruction in Ryogoku, and the CMLL Noche de Campeones. I'll get it at some point. Noche de Campeones. Noche de Campeones. Noche de Campeones. Jesus. Noche de Campeones. Noche de Campeones. That's what we're reviewing. CMLL Noche de Campeones 2023. Got a lot of stuff for you. Let's just go ahead. Weekly wrestling inspection. Let's kick it off. All right, let's start this off very quickly. I promise. Since we're recording this on a Monday night, on Monday, August 10, it is the day before Taboo Tuesday, the night where everything is possible, where everyone is coming together to try and murderize one another. I don't know what I'm talking about. It's the big night where NXT and AEW go head to head because NXT is moving from its usual spot on Wednesday. I guess there is football. Did I say August? I meant October. Why did I say August? October 10, that is what's happening. October 10, and it is October 9 today. So maybe by the time you're listening to the podcast, this might be already old news, but I think like for posterity's sake, for history's sake, I at the very least need to talk about it because NXT has decided to just jack up their show with all sorts of delicious spectacles for all to see and enjoy. They really don't want AEW to score any ratings points at all, and they're doing everything in their power to get this done. So as far as the card goes and things they've announced, they're announcing, and I believe this is the main event if I'm not mistaken, right? There's probably some things I'm forgetting. They've announced Carmelo Hayes versus Braun Breaker, and in the corner of Braun Breaker will be the wise man, Paul Heyman, and in the corner of Carmelo Hayes will be John Cena. who is going to come and give someone else the rub. All right. John Cena gave Cody Rhodes the rub. Now he's giving LA Knight the rub twice. And now Carmelo Hayes. It's kind of like, when you're wearing, a really nice perfume, or a cologne, depending on whatever way you swing, right? Whichever one you prefer. And you come in and you go somewhere and you're smelling really nice. But the more your clothes rub up against, the scent, the more it dissipates. I kind of feel like eventually the John Cena rub, if he just gives it right and left willy-nilly to every Tom, Dick, and Harry, I think at some point it's going to lose a little luster, right? Or maybe not. Anyway, so this is the big thing. John Cena is going to be there. The Wise Man is going to be there. What else? And then we have Cody Rhodes, who has a big announcement, we've been told. $10 says it's a pre-tape where he's going to announce the Dusty Classic. I think that's safe. We're going to have Tegan Knox taking a shot at the NXT women's title being currently held by Becky Lynch. So Becky Lynch is on the show. Asuka's on the show as well, taking on Roxanne Perez. And Dirty Dom Destructiblom, Dominic Mysterio is also going to be there as well. And finally, we've been hinting that The Undertaker is going to be there, right? Because they heard there's a big rumor that he's going to be in Orlando next week, so he may or may not show up at the end of promos. Heather just mentioned in the chat at the end of certain TV spots, there's the gong that's going to happen there. So look. It's a raw light, right? They're just bringing everyone in. And then they announced today, if I'm not mistaken, today being Monday, that the first half hour of NXT commercial free. So you won't even have an opportunity to flip channels like we used to do back in 1997. You won't even have that chance, bub. If you start with NXT, you're committed, champ. That's what it is. Lee Hernandez, nice to see you. Welcome to the chat. On the other side of things, AEW, although sometimes, anyway, I don't want to get into that right now. AEW are stacking up the card in their own other little I'm sorry. In the chat just made me laugh. I also heard they announced a rematch between Bruno and Stan Hansen. Oh, Jesus Christ. If they could, maybe it'll be one of these, hologram gimmicks, that they did with Tupac, that they have, hologram gimmicks and asking an AI to compose a match that Bruno and Stan would have. Anyway. That's funny as hell. AEW Dynamite now, on their end of the things, they're having the debut of Adam Copeland versus Luchasaurus. Then we also have the AEW Women's Championship, which will also be on the line, where Saraya will be taking on Hikaru Shida. Ray Phoenix will be taking on Jon Moxley for the AEW International Champion. Ray Phoenix, singles champion, we barely knew ye. Powerhouse Hobbs will be taking on Chris Jericho. Jay White will be fighting Hangman Adam Page. And for the number one contendership of the TNT title, Swerve Strickland versus Bryan Danielson. And this is on Dynamite Title Tuesday. MJF has hinted that he is going to show up as well. I have heard that there might be a surprise or two, but the last time I was told or that my haunts were discussing surprises a couple of weeks ago, they all fell through. Oh, Tegan and Becky is tonight? I'm sorry, I'm confused. Okay, So Tegan Knox, thank you, chat. Tegan Knox and Becky Lynch is not tomorrow. So not as stacked as we think. So that's what's going on with AEW on Title Tuesday, which is interesting because there's only 2 titles being defended. Very interesting. And one title has been commandeered. I don't know if that counts. I know, Jay White is basically saying that he's doing the CM Punk gimmick now. Anyway. Oh Lord. So that's what we got. And then today, just before we started this high quality broadcast, we AEW has announced that there will be a 10-minute overrun on Title Tuesday tomorrow. So an extra 10 minutes. So nothing that will be commercial free, but you're going to get an extra near full quarter hour next week for tomorrow. It all makes sense, right? That they're doing this. Now, do you want my official prediction? Well, okay, we're going to go one thing on it. You want my official prediction in regards to how things are going to go? Here's my official prediction. Here's my official prediction. NXT is going to destroy AEW. They're going to smoke them. There has NXT basically feels like a little super show that WWE fans are going to gobble up because all of their faves are going over there. They're doing this because they can and they should. NXT AEW is already at a disadvantage because it's moving nights, and this is just history. The data's there, can back it up. Whenever a promotion moves from whenever a television show moves from its original night to another night, and not even just another night, there is a dip in ratings every single time, because that's how the human brain works. You create a habit, right? You want people to tune in on a specific time, so that it's always there. It always knows it's there. So there is going to be a drop from the get-go, just a natural drop. But you're getting all the WWE fans up in arms. You're pounding your chest. This is all very obvious, right? It's like, oh no, we're going to show them. They're not saying that all outright. There hasn't been a press release that's been sent out by Nick Khan about the event saying, hey, we're going to show them. Yeah, no one's been quoted saying that, but this is the beat, this is the feeling, this is the vibe that WWE is given off. Because you know what? They want AEW to lose, and lose hard, and lose miserably. They want Tony Khan to be gotten to, because Tony Khan is going to take this very personally. He is. He's going to take this, personally. He's going to take this hard. How about that? It's going to get to him. That's what they want. That's what's going to happen. No matter how good our little Title Tuesday is going to be on Dynamite, they've decided to just go, complete ham. They being WWE, just go complete ham and stack the card with main roster people. And they can bring in John Cena right now because John Cena is on strike. He can't do anything. He can't work. So he needs something to do. Hey, John, we know you've got nothing better to do. Why don't you go hang out in Orlando? John. I wouldn't be surprised at all. I said it was the main event, but I wouldn't even be surprised in the slightest if Hayes and Breaker opens the show. And then John hits the bricks. But then again, what has he got going on right now? Not much, I'd wager. So, I mean, we'll definitely have some very level-headed and calm discourse about this on Wednesday, but nonetheless, when the ratings come out, right? But AEW is getting smoked. It's just as simple as that. There's no other outcome possible here. That's just how it's going to be. And this continues down the line of, WWE continuing to want to bring in big ratings. Look, here's the thing is that we know it's going to do big ratings because over the past few weeks, WWE has been sending main roster people to NXT and they've been doing tremendous numbers. And then the weeks that there's no big time people on the NXT shows, it sort of tumbles back to normal. And NXT is in its usual spot. And they're probably going to promote it heavily again tonight on Raw. What are we doing here? There's no point in living with our head stuck between our buttocks. And I mean, Adam Copeland, he's having his first outing here, right? He's having his first match. Wouldn't say he was much of a ratings mover on Saturday. But then again, Saturday there was a WWE pay-per-view. And we have seen, when it comes to, we're talking about Collision, of course, when it comes to Saturdays and Collision, we've seen that WWE PLEs chew into the AEW audience. They chew into the Collision audience. We've observed it. We've seen it. We know it. So how you could say maybe it would have been worse if Adam Copeland hadn't been there. But it's hard to say. It's hard to say observably he's made it better. But if I'm Tony Khan, I'm starting NXT AEW tomorrow with Adam Copeland versus Luchasaurus. That's what I'm kicking off with, right? Would make sense. I don't know. Look, jury's still out on Adam Copeland. I'll reiterate that I'm still very measured, very guarded as to what kind of business he can drive. So we'll see. Tomorrow's a big test. He's being thrown into the deep end from the get-go, right? Being thrown into the deep end, we'll see what happens. But like I said, maybe by the time you're listening to this, this has all hit the road. This has all been not hit the road. It's all been, it's all done. Maybe by this point, we've got nothing else to say. It's all behind us, maybe. But at the very least, I'm on the record with a few thoughts. Well, let's talk about WrestleDream. Let's talk about the business of WrestleDream this week. There were a lot more. We got some more information in regards to some KPIs and some business metrics that we can talk about a little more than we did last week. So the show drew 7,300 total fans with 6,500 paid. It's still under what they did the last time they came to the climate change center. What is it? Well, I can't remember. The climate summit. The last time they were in Seattle in the same building. Aside from the pandemic shows that were held in Jacksonville, of course, this would be the lowest number for the lowest attendance number for an AEW pay-per-view in its history. Climate pledge, yes, thank you, Chad. You will remember that after the show, during the media scrum, Tony Khan said that the show had topped 100,000 buys and beat the numbers of All Out. Well, Dave Meltzer this week in the Observer, or I should say last week or this week's Observer. Look, The most recent issue of The Observer, because it comes out on Friday. In the most recent issue of The Observer, Dave says the following. Based on the numbers that we have at press time from television buys, it would have been it being WrestleDream. It would have been up 16.2% from All Out and down 56.7% from All In, based on the same time frame as far as television buys go, 4 days out. So he always goes to this information here, which clearly is more readily available to him. Streaming buys worldwide were up a little higher percentage from All Out, closer to 25%. Dave says to keep in mind that All Out, like other shows based on word of mouth, did tremendous late recorded buys. Actually, the highest percentage of any show I've ever seen. So that's insane. So that's even, he was saying the same thing about Revolution, if I'm not mistaken. And now this is doing even better than Revolution. It now looks like All Out is very comfortably over 100,000 right now. 100,000, and right now 115,000 would be a conservative estimate. All in did a 21.5% increase with late reported buys, which sounds very high, but is actually low for 2023 AEW. All In ended up doing 36.9% above Forbidden Door, which would lead to a 192,000 estimate. The crazy thing regarding the late buys is that All Out ended up doing only 14.1% down for television buys from Forbidden Door, which speaks for the word of mouth coming off the show. In this case, the show had great word of mouth, although the biggest thing, the Adam Copeland return angle, was shown for free on television, so the lure to buy the show late wouldn't be for Copeland's surprise, but would be based on reports on the key matches. So basically, just to make sure we all understand what he's saying in this little run-on sentence here, that's is that he's not so sure that the Adam Copeland angle was the reason for people to buy, but it probably becomes clear, what you should be buying if you. It probably becomes clear why the people bought the show, based on key matches. So you could assume probably that Bryan Danielson and Zack Sabre Jr. had something to do with it. Maybe Swerve and Paige had something to do with it as well. That's essentially what he's saying here. Maybe Darby and Christian too. Outside of the angle, there was a match. So Dave continues, to me, a 100,000 number for this show being WrestleDream, would be disappointing. But now that figure is looking like it will end up higher, perhaps significantly. It was going against the Chiefs-Jets football game that did 24.8 million viewers and a 6.77 in the demo on NBC, as well as Peacock viewership, which got the number up to nearly 27 million, and it peaked at 29.4 million. So sports is the king of TV, folks. Given the competition, I'd say 120,000 would be good. If this grows like All Out, it would easily pass that figure, but there is no way to assume that will happen, which is why I say it's best on this one to wait and see. What we can say now with hindsight is that All Out, given it was 7 days after a pay-per-view, was an unqualified success, not because of the build or hype, but because of the late buys based on word of mouth. With an all-in level percentage of late growth, I'd call this show a mild disappointment. With all out level of late buys, it would have been a major success. I get what he's saying. He's being I get what he's saying in saying that the all-in late buys were a little under what AEW usually does, and if they had scored around the same way, maybe that would have been something hot. So there's a trend though here that I've noticed in Dave's recent reports, in that AEW seems to be finding a tremendous amount of success on these late buys that he's been mentioning. Because like I mentioned previously, he talked about the late buys being tremendous for Revolution and being something that put it over the top in terms of success and buys. So if anything, part of one would assume at this point that part of the AEW strategy for putting pay-per-views together isn't necessarily to get people to buy on the same day, but just to create an event that will be so noteworthy that that will be so that will spread around so much that people will just be excited to buy it late and watch it regardless. They want to see this match that everyone's talking about. They want to see this event everyone's talking about. So that's tremendous. And I know what he's saying here as well. He says, well, probably 192,000 for All In, 120 for All Out, and he feels like we're probably going to go higher, for WrestleDream. We're at 100,000 right now, but we're probably going to do more. I mean, and again, like, I understand what he's saying. But here's the one thing that I think we all sort of have to keep in mind here. There's one thing we all have to keep in mind here, which I think is really, really crucial, is that even if Dave feels like, well, there could have been more buys for All In, and AEW, according to these very rough estimates right now, or at least these still, unfinalized numbers, probably sold over 400,000 pay-per-view buys within a 5-week period, which is something that is unprecedented in the history of the company. Right? At $60 a pop, that's a good chunk of change. Now, I also understand that, the whole production of moving things and, of setting up the production and the live show and the salaries and, the talent, everyone. I understand that it's not like, we sold over 400,000 pay-per-views in 5 weeks. We're swimming in money. No, you still have all the expenses that continue with all of these buys, but there's also been live gates here. And there's also been the live gate of All In, which is what I can't remember anymore. Like, was it at 8 million at the gate, something ridiculous like that? Outside of the turnstile numbers and the drop rates and the whatever the fuck. This in the first time in this company's history. They have sold 420,000 pay-per-view buys within a 5-week period. I think that's really successful. I think it's tremendously successful, actually. I think it's huge. Again, I understand there's still expenses and whatnot and so on and so forth. But not that long ago, I was having chats with people just about everywhere, and even in Discord, saying, "Oh man, if they're even able to crack 100,000, that'll be great." Because I can't buy pay-per-views every month. We've had this discussion before. AEW knows you cannot buy a pay-per-view every month. But they extrapolate, they make predictions, they make economic models, they try and figure it out, they try to track behaviors. And they've been doing this for a while. And I'm sure they figured if we do X number here, we'll be fine. And I would suspect that they are higher than X number. So they're not expecting you specifically to buy every pay-per-view. I'm pretty sure they're expecting you to skip every second one, or maybe even every third one. Because indeed, can you spend $60 every month? Probably not. But just because it is your experience doesn't mean that it is a shared experience. And this is something that a lot of folks have trouble disassociating with. Just because it applies to me doesn't mean it applies to everyone. So I completely understand if you can't buy a pay-per-view every month, nor should you if you can't. You always have to look after your basic interests first. You have to feed yourself. You have to keep a roof over yourself. You have to clothe yourself. That's what you need to do with your money before you start giving it to Tony Khan and his wonderful, wacky world of men and women in spandex, okay? But from that point on, after that, buy the ones you want. I'm sure this has all been compensated and modeled, and these are all things that they were expecting. I'm not think that it's as doom and gloom as all of us, not all of us, because I'm not, but a lot of people are pointing it out to be. Let's do another little quick hit here. There's been a lot of talk about WWE popping up in Japan again, right? We have some notes here. A lot of this stuff is pulled out of the Observer. The most recent edition of the Observer, because WWE announced a new deal that they were going to be broadcast on Abema TV, or TV Abema, not even sure how to pronounce it. TV Abema is going to be broadcasting WWE in Japan now, and they're pushing this new deal as something really, really big. They being a TV Abema. They did a 1-hour introduction that was hosted by Keiji Muto just a few days ago. I think it was on the 28th, if I'm not mistaken. They did a 1-hour introduction show hosted by him. Muto was billed as a WWE special ambassador. Oh, Keiji. You will never miss an opportunity to collect a paycheck. You will don whatever headgear is proposed, is offered, as long as the money's there, aren't you? Keiji Muto is not unlike, he's kind of like the Snoop Dogg of professional wrestling. If the money's there, he'll drop whatever bars on whatever track you want. Abema is a very popular streaming service with big budget movies, original movies, domestic and international sports, documentaries, dramas, and talk shows. They are also owned primarily by Cyber Agent, which is the company that owns Pro Wrestling Noah, DDT, and TJPW. They are the majority shareholders, but also part of the also as a shareholder of TV Abema is New Japan Pro Wrestling, which got a lot of people really nervous. As Dave points out here, Abema doesn't know WWE. They believe this will be huge programming because of Shinsuke Nakamura, Io Shirai, and Asuka, and who are not really featured. Am I right? Well, I mean, they're featured. Look, they're currently Shinsuke's featured. How about that? Abema has recently lost UFC, Bellator, and Ryzen in its MMA content to a rival named Unext. I wonder if Bill Goldberg is involved. And they're looking to WWE as the replacement. So, I mean, good for them. WWE hasn't been to Japan, like physically, since 2019, which is understandable. Pandemic has been a problem. Even post-pandemic in Japan was problematic for a long time. They were a lot more conservative in returning, in releasing what's the word I'm looking for? We've said the word so much in relaxing restrictions. There we go. In relaxing restrictions in regards to COVID protection, yeah, they've been very conservative. They've been, compared to a lot of, well, to us and to a lot of places in the world, they've been very slow to, quote unquote, get back to normal. So no wonder WWE hasn't been there for so long. So they would probably draw better, is what Dave says, for a tour now because of the harder product and pent-up demand. The first Raw episode that aired on Japan on October 3rd did 128,000 total viewers. Does that seem like a lot? Well, is that a lot? Is that not a lot? Well, here's what Dave says. That's not like a TV rating, but the total number of logins during the 3 hours. Oh, that's interesting. And it's funny we get this distinction here. So you could have logged in to watch this during Raw and just stopped after 15 minutes and then, logged off or just let it run, or who cares? Or maybe watch 15 minutes and had to do something else. Like, I don't know. You're coming home from work on your commute. You tell me. As a comparison, Dave says that Noah shows usually range between 100,000 and 250,000. That's an interesting comparison. And I will join my voice into the choir with Dave Meltzer here when he says it wasn't a great debut when it did below what most of a secondary promotion does in Japan. He's not wrong. If Noah does between 100 to 250K quote unquote viewers, logins during a show, and WWE does 128,000, no, that's not good. Not for WWE. Not for something that is supposed to have, what, 1 billion fans across the world, I believe is what they've been touting with the TKO merger. Don't think it's just WWE, right? It's with UFC, right? It's on TKO anyway. Right? It's not it's not great. That's not a good number. It's not interesting at all. And I'm sure it's like, well, but then again, I think this should quell anyone, because there was so much panic and disorder in the streets when this was announced. People were afraid that this was going to be the end of Puro as we know it, and that WWE was buying up TV Abema, and that this would be the end. And just give it time to breathe a little bit, And I've had arguments with people, because I was saying this will probably not work out all that great. It'll probably not work out all that great. I don't think this is going to be all that much of a game changer for Abema, they just need warm bodies to fill up their programming. Christ, they lost all of their MMA to a competitor. They just want some combat sports. So what, it's like, all right, we'll bring in WWE, who hasn't really had a presence since 2000. When was their deal with, was it in 2021 or 2022 that their deal ended with, let me see here real quick if I can pull it up. They had their deal with J Channel. What was it called? Right now I'm being stupid. But I'll find it. Give me a second here. With J Sports in late 2021. There we go. That was a 20-year partnership that WWE had with broadcasting their content over on J Sports. They had been broadcasting SmackDown and Raw, if I'm not mistaken. If I'm not mistaken, it was subtitled. I think it was subtitled in Japanese, kind of thing. So, I mean, this is the crux of the situation. It's like, I'm not really surprised, And, I've had people tell me, oh, Warren, do you really think that not a single person in Japan is going to... Why does it always have to be these extremes? Why do we go from 0 to 100? Warren, your opinion is invalid because you can't possibly think that not a single person in Japan is going to watch it. Of course someone is going to watch it. But is this going to be a success? No, I don't think it's going to be a success. And this has always been my point. It's like we don't always have to go to the absolute extreme. So, oh, well, you're saying it's not going to work, but, there's going to be a few people are going to watch it. And then comparing to complete other industries. Well, if it works in the video games like this, it should work. No, it doesn't work the same way because pro wrestling has its own very intertwined, very specific culture and history, especially when it comes to Japan. It's not treated the same way. It's not perceived the same way. It's not negotiated the same way. So the comps that Dave gave us in regards to Noah are very interesting, but any other comp is ridiculous. It doesn't make sense. So, look, this is how they start off. There's room to grow. There's always room to grow. You never know what will happen, especially when it you'll never know what will happen in WWE. Ain't that the truth, Jack? But I think it could grow, but not to the extents I would assume that people would want. Not unless they start. Not unless they start buying up other promotions, and then again, why would they want to do that? Like you're developing an entire system, and you're gonna go get Japanese pro wrestling. Look, maybe I don't know. I don't know what they want to do. There's always that specter of NXT Japan that looms large, but is it something that's going to happen? This is something that's been promised, I feel like, for 10 years at this point. Maybe a little less, 7? NXT Japan. I don't know what kind of value, I don't know what kind of brand value WWE has over New Japan Pro Wrestling in Japan. Or even others, In the chat, we're pointing out, even like right now, Noah is the coldest major promotion in Japan since Muna retired. And that's true. Their attendance is super, super down. Muto fucks off and everything sort of starts spiraling. So it's not that there's no room for them, I don't think. There's room to compete on a major level because when you consider that the current big promotions outside of New Japan are kind of floundering and the word is correct here, cold, Noah, All Japan. Although All Japan seems to be on an uptick. We'll see how but they've been doing a lot of things right. They're not tearing down the house or anything, but they're not tearing down the house, but their houses are growing. They're doing things well, creating some buzz. That can be good. Stardom does great attendances on a consistent basis. I don't know. I don't know. I don't see the panic button. I don't see WWE coming in and swooping everything, scooping everything up. They've got a lot to prove in this market. They just have a lot to prove. Let's talk about an interesting little bit of rumor mill mongering happening recently about CM Punk. Again, we're talking about CM Punk. Yeah, and I've told y'all this once, and I will tell you again. We will always talk about CM Punk on this podcast because he is a mover and shaker. The business is affected when he does things. But hopefully by now, we're so the CM Punk fatigue has laid off, right? Hopefully I won't be getting any more threatening DMs. Was I getting threatening DMs? Well, I'm not talking about that. So even when he left, even before all of these rumors started popping up, we got some reports from The Observer and Fightful Select and other spots. Even before all of that, everyone was kind of saying, oh, well, he's probably going to go back to WWE, right? Like if CM Punk, if Phil Brooks wants to continue his career in pro wrestling, if he wants to finish this up, he wants to do his thing, there's only one place he can go to even get remotely the salary, the amount of money that he wants, that he bids for, that he is, quote, worth, whichever way you want to approach it, and it's WWE. He's not, even if he goes to Japan, Bushiroad doesn't have that money. Noah doesn't have that money. All Japan doesn't have that money. Impact doesn't have that money. There's no one else on earth that can afford CM Punk than WWE. So, I mean, it's a bit of a, it's not a bold prediction on that front. The bold prediction is, will he go back? This place that he demonized, that he used to propel himself, to make himself the voice of the voiceless, to go on campaigns about, that he spent years upon years shitting on, disparaging, not being defamatory, but anytime anyone wanted him to talk ill about the WWE, about Paul Levesque, be sure, crack open a Pepsi and sit down next to you and just let the taps flow. But apparently there's a lot of talk now that he might be returning. Dave says that there's been rumors, but those in WWE have only said that no deal is completed, and those close to CM Punk have told us, the Observer, Dave, that it is his intention to return, and the two sides are in talks. One would expect, if such a deal is made, that Survivor Series weekend in Chicago would be the time to do the surprise return. So, I mean, this should surprise nobody. Because don't you remember, right? It was reported just a few weeks ago. Look, it was reported just a few weeks ago that around December 2022, CM Punk was thinking about leaving AEW and going to WWE. And remember, in April, he showed up at Raw. Remember that? While he was still out, and all this collision talk was happening, right? It was reported that CM Punk was backstage at Raw, remember? And he was chatting it up with The Miz. And he was chatting it up with fucking Baron Corbin and Tamina. And then he had a chat with Triple H. And they shook hands. And Punk said, is it okay if I hang around? And Triple H said, well, I'm going to have to ask Vince. Well, he didn't say he'd have to ask Vince, but that's what it meant. But then CM Punk was escorted out by security. And there you go. So none of this should surprise anyone. That he's on his way back. And you know that this is, he's going to be doing this because he wants to get back at Tony. That's the only reason why he's going to do it. Because he wants to get back at Tony, because he knows Tony's going to get got about it. Tony Khan is going to get got about it, just like he's going to get got tomorrow on Tuesday, on Title Tuesday, when Title Tuesday gets smoked out of the water by NXT. These are inevitabilities. This is how Tony Khan is. I don't blame him. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to say I'd be better than him. But all of this it just makes sense. And quite frankly, you want my take? You want my hot take? You want my opinion? Let's do it. Do it. Have CM Punk sit down with fucking Ariel Helwani. That'll be the funniest thing. That will be the funniest fucking thing in the world. Because that's what they do, right? They have Helwani sit down with the big wigs over in WWE. Have him sit down and hash it out. And let him be their problem. Now listen, there is cause for concern because there are, a lot of people in some good spots in WWE who really do not like CM Punk. Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, Kevin Owens, Cody Rhodes. All people who are, vying for spots. They just want to get the good spots. You think Phil is going to come in and work the mid card? Think he's going to come put over Ashante the Adonis? You think he's going to work a program with Santos Escobar? Put him in a feud with Carlito? Let him be their problem. And it's fine. I've always loved the chaos. And this is good. And regardless of how you feel about him, or this, the situation in general, this would be this is still good for talent, for fans. This is the best possible scenario to have two companies where wrestlers can bounce off of each other and have these very competitive, back and forth that they can, negotiate salaries, have places to work. Like, this is very good for the business. I don't see it as a slight. So there's CM Punk doing something natural that he should be doing. But the difference here is that, and this is important, because the context between Jade Cargill jumping from one company to another is very different than CM Punk doing it. Because CM Punk left and scorched earth and vowed he would never return. And has taken every opportunity possible to shit on that company since. So I think the irony is delicious at Mr. Punk, that is very much in his name, that Mr. Punk, the voice of the voiceless, standing up to the big corporations, is going to go work for the most corporate wrestling promotion on planet Earth. And the irony out of it is outstanding. It's delicious. Doesn't change. And so it will be entirely 100% okay to mock him. Wherever you stand on the AEW stuff, in regards to whether you think he was in the wrong or in the right, whether the Bucks shot first or he shot first or whatever the fuck, doesn't matter. In the context of this man's history in pro wrestling, if he goes back to WWE, He deserves to be pointed and laughed at. That is what should be done. Because he has burned every other bridge possible for him to work in any other alternative. So he is forced to go crying back to the place that he felt so stymied and kept down in the first place. He has to go crawling back. And now they're even bigger, they're even more corporate, even more structured. And if you think that him coming into WWE is going to be smooth as sailing, because if you have the impression that everything is roses and candy backstage in WWE, just because you don't hear about it doesn't mean it's not happening. So if you think that he's coming in there into this peaceful environment where everyone is all hugs and love and let's all work together, folks, for the good of the show, you're sorely mistaken. Because it's not being reported doesn't mean it's not happening. Look. So basically what I was trying to say to finish my point is that you can, on one hand, you can mock him, but still be like, yeah, no, this is the best possible scenario, regardless, for pro wrestlers. You can still do that. Like, both are not mutually exclusive. If he was a man of his word, he wouldn't go back. If he wants to go back, all the more power to him. He's in an environment that allows him to do it. Does that make sense? Am I making myself clear? I hope so. But he deserves to be... You should point and laugh if he ever goes back. Thank you all very much for being here this evening. Yeah, it'd be the equivalent of Voldemort coming back to Hogwarts for a job. Well, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. By the way, since we're talking about WWE, and just before we get into the Fastlane review, did you hear the report that Brian Pillman Jr. is earmarked to have a name change, and that his name change might be Lexis King, right? Lexis King. This is the company that brought this kid in, made a big fucking deal out of the fact that he's the son of the late, great Brian Pillman, and now they're going to change his fucking name. They're going to take away what makes him identifiable and what makes him interesting in the first place. Now, yes, as Chad is pointing out, the name is not random, and it's not the name that's the problem, because the name is a portmanteau. Look that one up, nerds. It's a portmanteau of Alexis Pillman, was the name of his sister who regrettably passed away, and Skylar King, another one of his sisters, right? It wasn't Melanie Pillman, wasn't it King? Her maiden name was King, right? I could be wrong on that one. But it's a combination of his sister's names. Now, I'm not making fun of the name. At this point, I kind of feel like making fun of NXT names is old hat. It's passé. Like, what are you going to do? They come up with the goofiest fucking names for their Oro Mensa. That's going to be a winner. Oro Mensa. What was it? Hayton Montana? What was the guy? Anyway, it doesn't matter. So, look, this isn't about the name itself. It's about WWE changing the only thing that makes this kid interesting. getting rid of the one thing that has propped him up in his entire career, which is his name, which is the fact he's Brian's kid. And the reason why this kid was given, look, I don't want to go too far. These are all suppositions here. Speculations. But we have to look at this objectively, you know, because I had someone ask me recently, Warren, why is everyone making so much fun of Brian Pillman Jr., right? Why is this, you know, why are they making fun of him? Because Brian Pillman Jr., for all the attention he gets, is a tremendously mid-pro wrestler. He is the very definition of a mid-pro wrestler. Mid in-ring work, mid-charisma, mid-mic skills. He doesn't excel in anything. He's just bog average in everything. I promise you, you clone Brian Pillman Jr., you send him out into the world with an entirely different name and an entirely different background. Call him, Eric Fleece. You call him Eric Fleece. You send him out into the world, and Eric Fleece becomes a pro wrestler. I promise you, Eric Fleece doesn't get a quarter of the opportunity that this kid got. Now, I understand why, and I understand that nepotism in wrestling is a real deal thing. And a lot of the old guys in charge of pro wrestling right now, or maybe not in charge, in positions of power in pro wrestling, in positions of influence, wrestled with Brian, knew the family, knew the kids, understood the tragedy. They were like, man, we're gonna try and do our best here to make sure that Brian's kid has some kind of career, right? Some kind of future. And I understand that, and it's a noble thing to do, right? But name me a professional wrestler that has so little accomplishments. Name me another one who receives this much press whenever he does something. Brian Pillman Jr. leaving AEW should have been a blip. Stu Grayson leaving AEW should have made more noise than Brian Pillman Jr., but because Stu Grayson's name is not Pillman, it was like, oh, Stu's gone, that sucks. But Pillman, because his name is Pillman, it becomes a thing. And WWE puts out press releases about it. They do a fucking vignette where he's looking at, old matches of his dad and so on and so forth. And then they turn around and they just fucking change his name. The only thing that made this guy remotely of interest, that had people turning their heads, was because he was the kid of a pro wrestler that everyone loved, that the fans loved, and that the guys backstage loved. And this is why it's fascinating. And this is why it's fascinating why they're changing his name. Now, again, I know they've done this multiple times. Bo Dallas, Bray Wyatt, or Husky Harris back originally, right? We're going back to the OG stuff. Michael McGillicuddy. And I'm sure I'm forgetting. Ava Rain. Ava Rain. She is Dwayne Johnson's daughter. You have her signed, working for you. And you are not out there saying, this is Dwayne Johnson's daughter, the biggest grossing movie superstar in the world. Braun Breaker. They do this for everyone. I get it, okay? I absolutely get it. And in most of these circumstances, I'm going to say most because I don't know how much of the name Rotunda helps, but calling yourself Hennig in pro wrestling. You're the kid of Kurt fucking Hennig. Yeah, you fucking go for it. You know, it's the same thing with Brock Anderson. It's the same thing with David Flair. All these guys got ahead because of the names. David Flair's, whatever. Hey, look, he married Stacy Keibler. He dated Stacy Keibler for a while. I mean, that's good for him. Props to Dave. I mean, that's a career accomplishment right there. Who cares about a world title? So did George Clooney. If you want to look, 6 degrees of separation with George Clooney and it's not even 6 degrees. It's 1 degree separation. Wait, was it Stacy or was it Tori Wilson? Hang on, I'm drawing a blank here. George Clooney dated Stacy Keibler for a very short time. And it's Tori Wilson. It was Stacy. Okay. It was Stacy. Okay, thank you. For some reason it sort of but David Flair dated Stacy Keibler, right? I don't know why I'm doubting myself now. Why do I know this? See, this is why being a wrestling fan is so fucking stupid, because this is the kind of shit that lives in your head. Where you're like, oh yeah. I can tell you who David Flair dated. Anyway, look, I mean, it's absurd. It's absurd, but it is completely in WWE's wheelhouse. I don't know what to tell you. Like, it makes complete sense. It makes complete sense in that bizarro kind of entertainment world. But here's the thing, and this is important to remember, is that WWE fans are ready to forgive a lot of things when you can't work in a ring. They're ready. But if you cannot entertain them, if you are uncharismatic, if you cannot hold a microphone and talk, that's when they eviscerate you. So I'm not confident. I'm not confident in his capabilities. And that's more than enough on Brian Pillman Jr. Let's start talking about WWE Fastlane. That was the last one. WWE Fastlane. Let's review this, folks. Oh God, are you excited? I'm excited. I'm ready to talk some wrestling reviews. Now we got the news out of the way. This was a show that happened on October 7, 2023 from Indianapolis, Indiana, in the Gainbridge Fieldhouse. 13,022 people in attendance, at least distributed. 13,000. It is the most successful WWE event in Indianapolis. This was, do you remember when I told you last week when I did my preview? Do you remember? Take a minute to think about it. What was the one thing that I wanted all you to keep in mind? You remember what I said? I said, and I quote, on paper, this has the potential to be the worst WWE PLE of the year. And I'm happy to report that it has lived up to that potential. This was an absolutely nothing show. Not saying that this was a terrible show. Not saying it was bad, but it did commit probably the worst sin in all forms of entertainment. It was boring. There was nothing happening. This was a high-powered edition of Monday Night Raw or Friday Night SmackDown. Pick your poison. They're all the same to me. It was boring. And outside of the opening match, which was unquestionably the match of the night, but when the bar's in the dirt and it stays in the dirt, well, all right, doesn't take much to be better than the dirt. Outside of that, I don't know what kind of value anyone can find in this show. It will never be referenced ever again. We will never talk about this show ever again. There's nothing that happened on this show that is that has any significance moving forward. The work was good at times, never great, mid most of the time. And I had I watched a show with 13,000 people in it that for long stretches were sitting on their fucking hands, not making a peep. Couple of nights before that, about a week previous to that, I was watching another show with half the amount of people watching a show that were on their hands that sounded like they were a 13,000 full arena. But I shouldn't be surprised because, we mentioned this multiple times, and every time we're proven right. WWE fans, they pop for the entrances, they do the sing-alongs, they pop for the wrestlers that have sing-along catchphrases, and they pop for the finishers, and when there's interference. And tables, oh God, when there's tables, they need their tables. Jade Cargill was at the show. She showed up at the pre-show though. Listen, I'm not going to bitch on this. Okay. I promise. This is fairly standard WWE affair, right? Where they sign someone and they have them show up at the pre-show, and then later on in the show, they'll show the footage from the pre-show. So they showed Triple H coming to welcome Jade Cargill, looking stunning, don't get me wrong. Again, good to see her there. She is going to thrive in that environment. She's going to be great. Can't wait for her Monday Night Raw match against Nia Jax. That's going to be chef's kiss. So I'm not going to complain about that. What I will point out is that if you're doing press releases, if you're doing media and pushing Jade, and you don't even have her face pop up on your fucking show live in the audience doing an entrance. What are you doing? So Jade officially in WWE. And honestly, again, good for her. And I think it is the best fit. Good for her. Show started off with the undisputed tag team titles. Is that what they're called? The dual belts. Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso defeated the Judgment Day. They're the new champs. By the way, for the record, and I don't know who needs to hear this, I want this memo to be sent all the way up to Michael Cole. Cody Rhodes was never a leader of Bullet Club. He was never a leader of Bullet Club. The Bullet Club leaders are as follows in order: Prince Devitt, AJ Styles, Kenny Omega, Jay White, David Finlay. Those are the leaders of Bullet Club. Whatever, because why am I saying this? Well, because Michael Cole said it, two Bullet Club leaders. No. Now, Cody did the coup thing, right? The whole Bullet Club is fine gimmick from 5-6 years ago. That's what that was about. That was about Cody trying to become leader of Bullet Club. And then there were, the sides being picked and whatnot. You know, that's the thing. But Cody was never a leader of Bullet Club. So this match, though, very methodical start that leads to a Cody hot tag. Power slam and a disaster kick, stalling vertical suplex. Jay gets a hot tag too, but he's playing the hits, a dive, an Uso splash. And of course, Dominic and Rhea come out. Then it just because then people get into it. Coup de grace by Finn Balor. You do all sorts of shit to try and get Jay to eat a pinfall. It doesn't work. J.D. McDonough is there as well. And he has the briefcase and he accidentally plasters Damian Priest's knee. Damian Priest's knee had been worked on throughout the match by the babyfaces. Get a crossroads on the commentary table and a crossroads to put Finn away in the ring. Very well done. A very well done, good SmackDown main event. I think that's fair analysis. The WWE fans got what they wanted out of this. Congratulations to Cody Rhodes for finishing the story alongside a guy who prevented him directly, physically, from finishing the story back at WrestleMania 39. Congratulations, Cody. Congratulations to this airtight WWE storytelling of Cody Rhodes going to bat. Everyone deserves a second chance. Like, come on. And congratulations to Jey Uso, who left his tag team behind to focus on his singles career. Congratulations on him for winning tag team gold as a newly found singles competitor. Carlito and the LWO defeated Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits. So this was a 3-on-2 because the other Legado del Fantasma guys, I don't know what the hell they call themselves. The LWOB team. They got punked out or something. So King Cuerno and Rey Mysterio are deciding to go at this alone. Okay? 3-on-2 handicap. The almighty Bobby Lashley and Angelo Dawkins and Montez Ford. You know, Montez, Montz, Z, is spelt exactly like a French word, monte, Montez, which means walk up or rising. I don't know why I thought about that, like, legitimately, like, right now. I got nothing for you on this match. I thought this was dull, average work, big spot. There was, look, big, tremendous Frankensteiner by Santos on Montez, Monte. Big heat segments with very dry comeback spots. I don't know who this was for. I don't know who's interested in this. And then Carlito comes in at the end for the sake. Why didn't he just come out and do the fucking match with the guys if he was there all along? Is it me? Am I missing something here? How does this make sense? Oh, listen. Carlito will come out just at the very end. The two of us will just eat shit by three guys for the next 10 minutes or so. 9 minutes. And then Carlito. So, we'll risk injury for the surprise. We'll risk fighting Bobby Lashley, legitimately one of the strongest humans on earth, Why didn't he just come out? Like, this was fucking stupid. Like, this is stupid. I don't understand this. I really don't. It doesn't make sense. It makes zero sense. I like that they're, that the LWO, we were talking about this on the pre-stream before we started recording, actually, and because I record live the Mr. Warren Hayes show on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes. If you ever want to join in, there's a lot of discussion you don't get to you don't get to experience when you're listening to the podcast or on demand. And it's like Dragon Lee's been called up, and he's probably going to be on SmackDown, and Carlito's going to be on SmackDown. So it's like, okay, so all the Latinos in the Latino world order, right? Let's put all the Hispanics in one place. And I said, up until this point, and people are like, oh, come on, Warren. But that is absolutely the best tribute you could be paying to the original LWO, because that's what it really was all about. That is legitimately what the OG LWO was about. Anyway, this thing. I thought on Montez Ford. You know how we talk about, me, but I know a lot of people do as well, how it's good that pro wrestling has another place where guys and gals can go off to, reinvent themselves and try stuff out elsewhere. I think Montez Ford should be one of those guys. I think Montez Ford should not renew his contract and fuck off. Not because he's not talented. They're never going to do shit with the guy. And he is at his peak right now. And people are begging for this. They've been begging for the Montez singles run, but they're not doing it. They're not pulling the trigger on it. Montez should do exactly what Cody just did. Go away to do anything else, raise his profile, come back a superstar. Come back and get the WrestleMania entrance. Because honest to God, I do not think it is going to happen. I don't think this envisioned big run for Montez, this Montez being a top guy situation is going to happen unless he gets the hell out of Dodge and builds himself elsewhere, only to come back undeniable, right? That's the thing. Pull a Cody. WWE, then the WWE women's title was defended in a triple threat. Io Shirai, Sky Sakurai successfully retained the title against Asuka and Charlotte Flair. I felt like this could have been really good and should have been given more time to cook. But no dice. More time. They had 17 minutes. What am I talking about? It should have just been two women, is what I'm trying to say. But we had to squeeze in Charlotte in here, who wasn't bad, by the way. I don't think we've seen much worse circumstances of Charlotte Flair than this. Much, much worse. I don't think she's that bad. She was that bad in this match. She was hitting her move. They were connecting. I like the opening sequence between Io and Asuka. Run up avalanche German by Asuka on Io Shirai, followed by a sliding knee strike. That was cool. Charlotte Flair hits a double suplex, and she connects with her Orihara moonsault. But there's the Tower of Doom. Charlotte eats a flying knee. She has the figure four locked in. Bayley arrives. And she distracts the ref while the figure eight is locked in. There's the visual tap by Asuka, and Io Shirai does a moonsault while the referee doesn't see. To get the win. Okay. And I thought, honestly, Jade was going to come out here. I thought Charlotte was going to win. And that Jade was going to come out, and this is how we were going to set up everything. No Jade. I don't know. The match was okay. Wasn't the worst match on the show. John Cena and LA Knight defeated the Bloodline. Jimmy Uso, Solo Sikoa. This was tremendously dull. Like, I mean, tremendous. To lead to the LA Knight hot tag. And it's crazy how much the heels here worked to hide the work rate problems that both John Cena and LA Knight dummy have. I mean, the hot tag, when it finally connected, the hot tag was just both guys playing the hits until five knuckle shuffle and attitude adjustment. Thank you. Good night. Or no, it was the blunt force trauma. The whatever the fuck he calls this thing. Everyone got their shit in on the hot tag. Don't get me wrong, but that's what it all led to. And Jimmy Uso, he's not a guy to carry this kind of thing, and nor is Solo Sikoa. They don't have the heel chops to make an extended heat segment like beating down on John Cena. They don't have it to make it work. Why? Because it didn't work. It didn't work. And they don't have the chops because they had John Cena. John Cena was basically their Ricky Morton. He was eating shit the entirety of the match. And they struggled to get this crowd into it. That's very telling to me. Could not care less about this match. This was John Cena's first televised win since December 30th, 2022. And then the main event, the WWE World Consolation Prize Last Man Standing match. Seth Rollins successfully retained against Shinsuke Nakamura. Man, I don't know. I really don't want to. I really don't want to talk all that much about how it's another one of these WWE, hardcore matches. These matches that just feel like they're baby's first plunder match. I really don't want to reiterate these points. And I'm sure you're all bored of hearing me talk about them. The crash pad. I think the crash pad was egregious. Here's the thing with people that are sticking up for the crash pad spot. Okay? Because and it's the same thing with the Chris Jericho crash pad spot from 2 years ago. See, there's this thing that happens in the minds of pro wrestling fans that when it happens, it becomes like this universal truth. Like it's like, oh, well, this was determined by the powers that be that this was supposed to happen, so we cannot fathom a universe now, a timeline where this does not happen. Our brains are broke. There was this and this had to happen, right? So when you come out publicly to say the crash pad is stupid and it takes away from the hardcoreness of the match, right? You either get two responses from people. You either get the people saying, well, in the movies, I'm not watching a fucking movie. I'm watching a pro wrestling match. Okay. It's like in the movies, or at least in music, they don't have special effects. Well, no, because it's music. So you either get those people or you get people saying, and people getting really, really mad about it. Oh, so you just want wrestlers to get injured and hurt. No, I don't. There's a third option, which is really, really fucking clear. Really stupid clear. And I don't know why most people don't think about it. That if you don't want to do the spot, because if the crash pad is there, it's that you don't really want to do the spot. If you don't want to do the spot, don't do the spot. If you don't want to use a barbed wire bat, don't pull out a rubber baseball bat with rubber barbed wire on it. Just then don't do it. Because the opposite makes it look stupid. Pro wrestling is already stupid. Don't have to make it look dumber than it already is. Because this is the equivalent of back when I was a kid and there'd be special effects, quote unquote, in films, and we'd be pointing at the camera going, "Ha, I see the wires. Jerks." It's the same thing. You're toying with the suspension of disbelief. If I see a guy bounce off a crash pad, I'm like, all right, he's fine. Doesn't make me feel anything. I'm detached. I am suddenly no longer watching a pro wrestling match. I am watching a show about a pro wrestling match. And if that's what you want, that's fine. But it's garbage, it's trash. Let's just call it what it is. And the most egregious thing here is that WWE didn't even bother to hide the crash pad. They're like, yeah, it's right there. He's gonna fall on it. We all saw it. It's like, that looks like a crash pad. He bounces off of it. And then they fight around it again. It's like, yeah, that's a fucking crash pad right there. And I am on the same level with the Chris Jericho spot. Just don't do the spot. If it's going to make the spot look stupid, it's going to make the match look dumb, especially when it's supposed to be hardcore, just don't do the fucking spot. If you're not game to do it, don't do it. That's all. I don't want Seth Rollins taking flat back falls onto fucking concrete, cement, polymer floors. Of course not. He doesn't have to do it, but he doesn't have to do this bullshit either. You see what I mean? Does that make sense? And I think that's the most reasonable response. The spot looks stupid. Don't do it. That's all. Just like the same thing when you have wrestlers on the indie scene doing these inane spots so that they'll get themselves over on Twitter for 48 hours and get, a mention on Jim Cornette's shit. Don't do it. Don't get yourself hurt for this. It all ties into... They're walking around and they're doing stuff, and what I want to talk about is Shinsuke Nakamura and Seth Rollins as professional wrestlers in the year of our Lord 2023. Let's start with Shinsuke. I was on the Between Two Beards podcast last week, and we were previewing Fastlane. Nothing says great WWE show preview by bringing in WrestleDream, right? So I'm on the podcast on the Love Wrestling Network, and we talk about the thing. And Joe, God bless him, I love Joe. I love both those guys. But Joe says something to the effect, I really hope Shinsuke wins because, we should get that run. It's about time. We need to do something with him. And I flat out ask him, I say, why? And he answers something. And quite honestly, I don't quite remember. It was something around the fact that, well, it's Shinsuke Nakamura. It's about time we do something. But again, I'm like, why? Why do you root for Shinsuke Nakamura? What does Shinsuke Nakamura have to offer in 2023 when his output in WWE has mostly been average, nondescript, absent to a degree? He always has been terribly tepid in main event spots. Like I asked Joe, what has Shinsuke done for you recently to garner this? What makes you think Shinsuke Nakamura is a guy that should be in top matches in World Wrestling Entertainment in 2023? How has his booking ever given you faith? How has anything he's done recently, how does it give anyone any faith that, yeah, go Shinsuke? He is legitimately a shade of his former self. Corey Graves, again, being a dope, says he's going back to his King of Strong style persona. He was talking about this on commentary. I'm like, you want to talk about his King of Strong style persona? Because I didn't see jack. You want to talk about this? How about you go back to you go back to WrestleMania, Wrestle Kingdom 8, and you see his match against Hiroshi Tanahashi. You go back to the G1 Climax 24 and you watch his match against Tomohiro Ishii, or the G1 Climax 25 against Okada. Hell, go back and watch TakeOver Dallas against Sami Zayn. Now we're cooking. That's it. Or AJ Styles at Wrestle Kingdom 10, like everyone always says, right? Christ, people. And look, Chad, his match with Ibushi, absolutely, his Wrestle Kingdom match with Ibushi, chef's kiss. Like, you want to talk about Shinsuke Nakamura, King of Strong Style, charisma bomb, a legitimate ticket mover. You want to talk about that guy? Go back and watch that. Look at everything he's done in WWE in the past 4 years. And I dare you to tell me he's come close. I dare you then to turn around and say, I am excited for the World Championship run of Shinsuke Nakamura. I double dog dare you. This guy is a shade of what he used to be. He is the king in name only. He is a pretender. I don't know who this guy is. Who this guy is, I don't understand why anyone gets excited about him. I don't know why I had my good friend Joe Poulin telling me, Joe Poulin Jr., by the way, telling me, man, it's about time we have to pull the trigger. I'm like, who cares? Who cares? Will Davis, member of the MrWarrenHayes Show channel. Good to see you. Welcome. But that's Seth. That's Shinsuke. Let's talk about Seth. I keep being told by WWE fans up and down that Seth is a tremendous worker and one of the best wrestlers on the planet. And yet somehow this world-class top performer who delivers with these great matches, he can't be this tremendous top-tier worker can't be bothered to deliver great matches. He's in the ring with a world-class wrestler, a former New Japan Pro Wrestling main eventer, former champion, Shinsuke Nakamura. And this is all he can muster? This and the payback match, which I thought was boring? He's not wrestling schlubs. He's not in there with fucking Von Wagner. This is Dabakato. He's not in here with Top Dollar. This is Shinsuke Nakamura, and this is what he's able to get out of it. That's the best he can do? If he's this good, he should be elevating people all the fucking time. anyone should step into this ring with Seth Rollins, and we should have great to excellent to classic matches every time. There is one person in the world right now who holds that mantle, and that it is true, it is observable. One person in the world who does that you step into the ring with, and you get a great match every single time, no matter who he's fighting. It's not Seth. I should not be bored to tears if Seth Rollins is one of the greatest wrestlers on earth, if he's a world-class wrestler. If it was the case, Seth Rollins' matches would be sought after, heralded, searched out. But tell me why. Tell me why this guy here, why this guy is considered to be one of the greatest wrestlers on earth. And yet, every time we talk about Seth Rollins, every time you think about, let's talk about some great Seth Rollins stuff, two things are always brought up: the heist of the century and him turning on the Shield. And they're angles. They're not even matches. Where is this catalog of world-class, 5-star, extraordinary matches? Oh, yeah. Oh, and what goofy thing is Seth going to wear this week? Look at how wacky he is. He's got so much money, he can be eccentric. Listen, let's do a little exercise here. Let me get this here. We've got on Cage Match, according to Cage Match, okay? I've got them here. Wrestling Observer Newsletter star matches, star ratings for Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins, in his career on planet Earth, on God's green flat Earth, has one 5-star match, and that is the Cody Rhodes Hell in a Cell from last year, which I agree with. I'll buy it. I preferred the WrestleMania match to that one. That is my Seth Rollins 5-star match. After that, we have 4 and 3/4 star matches, which I guess you could argue could be 5, right? Against Davey Richards in Ring of Honor in 2010. A triple threat with Brock Lesnar and John Cena. A Money in the Bank ladder match. Okay, that's a lot of people in 2021. Edge versus Seth Rollins at in Hell in a Cell. I guess that's the Saudi show. I don't do the Saudi shows, so I can't tell you. So there they are. Those are the ones that, let's say, for argument's sake, he's got 5 5-star matches. Okay. Truly excellent matches. But 2 of them are multi-man matches. Okay. If we get into the 5.5-star leagues, he's got a match against Nigel McGuinness from Ring of Honor in 2008. Against Bryan Danielson in 2008. Again, these are 2 of the greatest wrestlers to ever lace the boots. Okay, I sure as hell hope. He's got a multi-man with Roderick Strong and Austin Aries in 2010 in Ring of Honor. And then we have John Cena, Seth Rollins in 2015, a 4.5-star match. We have AJ Styles versus Seth Rollins from 2019, a 4.5. His matches against Cody Rhodes, his match against Logan Paul, and a match against last year against Finn Balor, which I definitely don't think, or earlier this year in August, which was given 5.5 stars, which I really don't think is even close. He's got a bunch of 5 and 4.5 star matches, but they're all multi-man matches. Money in the Bank, 6-man tag, Survivor Series eliminations, triple threats, Extreme Rules, fatal 5-ways. Where are the memorable Seth Rollins matches? Where is this litany of high-class, high-powered, indisputably great Seth Rollins matches? It's ridiculous. That's why I can't take anyone who tells me this seriously because, and look, here's the thing. We're talking about Montez Ford, where I'm like, this is a guy who should fuck off for a while and do things on his own. You want it? I think a return to Tyler Black would be pretty fucking dope at this stage of his career. 37-year-old. He's in his prime. He can still go. That's the thing, is I am not sitting here telling you that Seth Rollins is a hack, not telling you that he's bad. Far from it. I don't think he's as great as people let on he is to be. Because I haven't seen the output. I haven't seen anything that's popping me out of my seat. He's in a match with Shinsuke Nakamura. And I am bored. How is this possible? If he is one of the greatest workers on the planet, I would be more than thrilled to see Seth Rollins take a little break, go off, do his thing, stretch his limbs, give us the matches that will put all of this to rest. Give him Ospreay, give him Omega, give him Mox at this stage of the career. Give him Danielson again at this stage of the career. Fuck, have him Eddie Kingston. Give him all these guys. All of these people that we universally consider the best doing it on the planet right now. Plop them in there with Tyler Black. Let's see what he can do. Give him fucking Hangman Adam Page. Let's see what he can do with Zack Sabre Jr. I'm not kidding. It's the kind of situation where I would love to be proven wrong. I would love to be proven wrong. And I don't know if it's Seth. I don't know if it's the WWE house style. I don't know if it's a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. But ultimately, what we're getting from Seth is fine, acceptable, good, sometimes even great matches, but not to the caliber that I keep being told that he is at the level that I keep being told he's at. He is not one of the greatest working right now. He's good. And I'm telling you, frankly, very, very honestly, it is a deep desire of mine for Tyler Black to fuck off for a while from WWE and go off and do things. I think he should be in a part-time contract with AEW and just fight the top guys, and let's just get this out of the way once and for all. I don't even need a G1 run out of him. That's not even the issue. I don't give a shit about a G1 run. Let him fight the best in the world, and let's see where he falls. I'd be so into that. I would be really into it. And I would demand, I would expect nothing less than for him to prove me wrong. That's all I'd want out of it. Just make me eat crow. Anyway, that was Fastlane. People sang to entrances. They were happy. They did the catchphrases. They were excited when there was interference. It seemed like a very good show if you're a WWE fan. But for the rest of us, mediocre. Nothing of value happened. Nothing of interest happened. It's a waste of time. Watch anything, absolutely anything else. Such as New Japan Pro Wrestling Destruction and Ryogoku. No, I say that sort of to make a weird segue. Hey, Tuan Mac, nice to see you. Welcome to the chat, by the way. New Japan Destruction and Ryogoku. See, I say this, hey, go and watch this as if I'm about to drop this show and tell you, hey, this was outstanding, and and whoa, New Japan does it again. But quite frankly, in all honesty, I think this is the show that I've disliked the most from New Japan since the pandemic era. Now, out the gate, if you wanted me to rate this on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd give this a 6. Like, it's not a terrible show. But as you will see as we talk along, I didn't feel anything. It didn't jive. Like, the work is mid to good, great at a couple of times, but overall, just very disappointing. Now, I know, there was, a lot of the guys were plagued. There was a flu plague going around in New Japan. A lot of guys were very risky, very iffy for the date. Everyone made it except for Lio Rush. We're going to get into that in a bit. But, so maybe that had some factors, but like overall, even in the matches that to me were surefire hits, just like, an easy home run, an easy touchdown, an easy 3-point shot, an easy slap shot, an easy hole in one. What else in sports analogies? An easy ringer when you're playing horseshoe, right? An easy cornhole, is that what they call it anyway? The point here is that even the matches that felt like layups, there you go, that felt like layups, sort of felt a little off. So look, let's start talking about it. It happened today. Actually, I had the chance to catch up with it before talking about it today. Today being October 9, and it took place in Tokyo, Japan, at the Ryogoku Kokugikan. Just call it Sumo Hall. 5,002 is the attendance for this show. Now, if we want to talk business a little bit, last time they were here was for 2 nights of the G1, just this year. August 12, 6,579. August 13, 8,283. What was going on? What were the main events? Well, August 12 were the semifinals, and the main event was Tetsuya Naito versus Will Ospreay. 6,579. The finals, night 13, Tetsuya Naito versus Kazuchika Okada. 8,283. They were also at Sumo Hall in April for Sakura Genesis. Right? Main evented by Sanada taking the strap off of Kazuchika Okada. 6,510. So this also outdrew it. Hell, even the All Together Again show they did, the New Japan All Japan Noah show outdrew this. 6,569. Nice. In the main event was Kazuchika Okada, Keno, and Yuma Aogi defeating Hiroshi Tanahashi, Kaito Kiyomiya, and Kento Miyahara. So when are we going to... Are we... What more do we need in regards to the Sonata draw thing? Like, this is one of the lowest attendances they've had in Sumo Hall. And look who's the champ. And look what the fucking main event was. I've been very, I have never been bullish on Sonata. In fact, I've always thought it was a very poor choice as a world champion. I don't think he's ever proven his salt. I still think Evil gets more reactions than him. Most of the card gets bigger reactions than him. In his matches, it's always the other guy who gets bigger reactions. And yet, this is the guy, we're sticking to our guns. We're sending this guy to main event the Dome with Tetsuya Naito. Thank fucking God, Naito's in the main event of this one. We're not going to sit around and pretend that if Wrestle Kingdom does great numbers this year, or next year, January, if Wrestle Kingdom does great numbers next year, we're not going to pretend that it's based on Sonata's history of drawing big gates for the company, right? I think we all, if business does really well, I think we can place this squarely on Tetsuya Naito and the promise or the anticipation, the expectation that his own story will be completed. That he will finally get the big win in the Dome and do the LIJ roll call. Right? Right? I don't know what to tell you about Sonata, folks. I've been checked out on him. And I know there's still Sonadites. What would they call themselves? Sonaderers? Sonadus. Sonadites. I think it probably Sonadites. Into the show before I melt down from trying too hard to make puns. On the pre-show, we had a Frontier Zone 10-man tag team match. What in the blazes of blue is Frontier Zone match? I'm glad you asked. At least Chris Charlton explained it to us, saying that this was a new type of match that New Japan would do to invite and showcase freelancers or people from other promotions and freelancers in Japan to just come and have an opening match with a few people on the roster. I'm like, okay, that's interesting. Here we had Jun Masaoka, Kazuma Sumi, Kengo, Takahiro Katori, and Takeshi Masada. The only name in here I know there's a couple of Freedoms guys here, a couple of freelancers. The one guy that I was familiar with was Takeshi Masada, who was in DDT. They were defeated by Toru Yano, Yoshihashi, Oscar Lube, who was filling in for Yo, who was bumped up on the card. Taguchi and Tiger Mask were there as well. I don't have much for you here, other than, why is New Japan doing this? I understand the concept of, a rising tide lifts all boats. I think I got the idiom straight for once. But a rising tide lifts all boats. I get that. But a lot of these guys are freelancers. There's a DDT guy. what boats are we raising here? Like, I don't quite see, like, I can understand cross-promoted shows, that I get. I understand what they're for. But if you're doing a pre-show match, like, not even, the house lights are still fucking on here. Pre-show, with all these guys, very little, no pomp and circumstance. They're just coming out and they're doing their match and they're going home. Yeah. Scouting? That's my thought. Chat, I think that's probably it. Who are they scouting, though? What are they looking for? This is always something that fascinates me about New Japan, right? Is that they have, arguably, the best wrestler factory in the world, right? You can make a case that the dojo system in New Japan produces the highest hit rate of high level workers, stars, the most complete pro wrestlers on the planet, right? And here they are scouting out there looking for some young talent. Now look, again, don't get me wrong. I know New Japan is in this, this youth-oriented, very youth-oriented beat right now. That's what they want. They want to refresh everything. They want to get some new faces, new people out there. I get it. If they're scouting, who do they want to integrate and where? What's the plan here? What do they want to do? Because Gedo takes his sweet old time. He takes his sweet old time trying to figure out what to, trying to do things for people, trying to do creative for people and get them going, get their balls rolling. Look, he's got a rogues gallery of guys right now that are hot, that are getting hotter, that he's, that are already representing the next generation. It's weird. I mean, at the same time, good. Like, if they want to make sure that they don't miss out on any big time upcoming talents, good for them. Like, look, I was aware of Takashi Masada. I've seen him before. I think he's 21 years old. He's, he's still a literal baby in pro wrestling, but he's very good. And he is the spitting image of Konosuke Takeshita. Like, spitting image. And he works in DDT too. So it's like, did DDT tell Tony Khan, that's okay, you can keep the old Takeshita, we've got the new one. Not unlike Mascara Dorada, Anyway, it's interesting. It's interesting. I think it's I think they are absolutely scouting. I just don't see where this all falls in. But I guess you keep as many of your options open, right? You don't close any doors. You don't stay oblivious to what's happening elsewhere. Kevin Kelly on this call here, burying deathmatch wrestling, lamenting Chris Brooks. Let's move on to the main card. We had the reveal of the newest five guy of the Just Five Guys stable in this match, where Doki, Taichi, and the returning Yuya Uemura defeated the House of Torture trio of Sho, Yoshinobu Kanemaru, and Yujiro the Sack of Turnips. Big return, of course, for Uemura. This is the one of the most significant events of the show. Heat Storm, Yuya Uemura. Heat Storm. Just showing the screen, the music running. Heat Storm. Kevin Kelly going, I don't don't know who Heatstorm is. Who is Heatstorm? I don't know who this is. Anyway, back from excursion into this match. Done his time in America and in Impact. I think a lot of us saw this coming, especially, well, particularly when he lost the Feast or Fired. When he lost the Feast or Fired match, that was a significant blow. He gets into, so look, I know there's a vocal contingent of individuals who really don't like Yuya, but I don't understand. Like, this guy's going to bring something else to the table. He's going to bring something tremendous. He looked good in this little opener. Lots of House of Torture nonsense, but they didn't have him run the gauntlet either, right? They just had him do, play the hits, get your big offense in, and go home. That's essentially what this was. It was like a 7-minute match or something, 8-minute match, 9-minute match at the most. We didn't go to 10 on this one, I'm sure. And he looks happy. He looks confident. He's got potential in a sea of young guys in New Japan right now who are currently on excursion, who also have potential, right? Oiwa's over in Noah. We've got number one sweet boy Kosei Fujita, who's on excursion as well. And then right now we've got the Musketeers. We've got this guy. And then, New Japan seems to be scouting. Like, this is all very good. It's very interesting. And I'm excited to see what his next steps are. I'm excited to see if Just Five Guys is a good fit for him. I think it's a good fit for Just Five Guys. When we were talking about this when I was previewing this last week, I was like, look, it makes sense for Just Five Guys to boot Kanemaru and bring in one of the young guys. Every stable in the company. Oh no, I wrote this we didn't talk about this specifically. I wrote this in my Voices of Wrestling preview that I did with Jay Michael of the Super J Shoutcast. Shout out to Jay Michael. Every stable, every faction in New Japan has their new guy. They all have their new guy. Hantai has their new guy. LIJ, Strong Style. Bullet Club is just full of new guys now. The only stable that has none of these like fresh off the boat faces is Chaos. But that's probably because Okada, old man Kazu wants all these kids off his lawn. So, I mean, like, the environment is rich, and the more of these guys you add into the mix, the more interesting. And Yumera has the look. He's got the build. He's got something different to bring to the table than Narita, than Fujita when he comes back. It's good. We're building the next 10 years in New Japan right now. And I think this is very exciting. And I think he's going to be a great fit. I know, I think there's a lot of the reason why people were unnerved with him is, I don't think he was very good at social media. And, Impact comes with, a certain level of detractors, people who don't necessarily care for Impact. So I think there's a lot of factors here that may have clouded some judgment. But I'm not saying here that he's going to be the next savior, that he's not. I'm not sitting here telling you that he's an absolute number one pick top guy. Like, I'm not going to sit here and try to sell you that he's on par with Yota Tsuji, who is the next top guy, who is going to be an IWGP heavyweight champion, who's going to be a superstar for the company. Like, you have to be deaf, dumb, and blind to not see the potential that Tsuji has. Yumera, I don't think it's that obvious. But, let him grow, let him develop, let him work, and then maybe the magic will just happen by itself, right? Anyway, he's the new guy. Just Five Guys win his debut, of course. Fine little match. Second match on the card was Tongaloa defeating Chase Owens. What a dreadful piece of work that was. After that, we had Los Ingobernables de Japón defeating the United Empire, LIJ team of Bushi, Shingo, Yoda, Tsuji, and Tetsuya Naito. The United Empire was made up of Callum Newman, Great-O-Khan, Jeff Cobb, and Henare. Fine little match that really didn't do nothing for me here. And I didn't feel like it really set up anything for World Tag League either. I was expecting maybe a few things a little clearer, but again, I'm looking at this and I'm like, and usually I am a big fan of the LIJ multi-men. I think they're more than not, they are a blast. But they did seem to set up Yoda Tsuji and Great-O-Khan. There seems to be a little bit of smoke there, so usually that would mean there's a fire. Yeah, I think everyone is kind of expecting, like, you know, at the time we're recording this, we haven't been privy to the information off of the New Japan press conference, which is happening like at 2 a.m. Eastern. So probably by the time you're listening to this, this is all moot. But I think a lot of people are expecting Shingo and Tsuji in a team. Jeff Cobb and Great-O-Khan getting back into the tag team mix as well. I like them as a team too. I don't know. I feel like this match happened and there wasn't much to glean out of it. I don't know. Callum Newman though. Boy, that boy runs the ropes. IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team title match had the Bullet Club War Dogs team of Clark Connors and Drilla Maloney successfully retain their titles by defeating Kevin Knight and Kushida, the intergalactic jet setters. The match starts before the bell. Kevin Knight does a Tope con Hilo where he mostly eats the floor. Kevin Knight all over the place in this match. And he was one of the guys who was sick. There's a great spot where Kevin Knight leaps over a double clothesline by the War Dogs, and then he does double Pele kicks. I love that. He also lands a sky high. There's a chicken fight at some point as well in the match. I don't know why. Kushida eats a tremendous Drilla killer. Dan Maloney's finisher. Spear on Kevin Knight. The War Dogs retain. Good work. Good. I enjoyed it, but not the strongest juniors. Not the strongest junior tag team match I've seen, but a high point in the show so far. I like how Connors and Maloney are coming together. Kevin Knight is still very good. Still a high-level prospect. Again, and all the guys I was talking about just previously, right? When I was talking about, you know, Umera being in town. Kevin Knight, man. He's got something to offer this company. Then we have the match number 7 of the best of 7 series between the teams of Master Wato, Shota Umino, and Yuji Nagata, and the strong style trio of Minoru Suzuki, El Desperado, and Ren Narita. The Hantai guys got the win here. This was the last of the series. I thought this was fine. Again, like, just okay, you know, good. I think the most entertaining spots in this match were the old dudes, Nagata and Suzuki, just, you know, wailing on each other and, you know, doing this, you know, challenging each other with PKs and chops. And I'm a simple man. This entertains me tremendously. You know, we often forget that Yuji Nagata is one of the greatest to ever do it as well. And he's still going strong. And commentary kept putting over that this match was some kind of litmus test for both Narita and Umino, right? Where it was always focused on them. Here's what I thought. Narita showed a lot of fire here. A lot of fire. He had something here which I wish he had had in his G1 run. Shota, I think he was good here, but I also know he's better than this. So really, really the old dudes, I think, outshined the whippersnappers. But Narita and Shota did good. Particularly Narita. Now, I thought that Narita should get the win here because of, I think Shota is a made man in this company. I think he's just one of those with the gimmick, with the charisma, with the fan connection. I think he's a made man in New Japan. Narita I feel he's fighting uphill, and I think he really could have used the pin here. But he eats a Death Rider, and he loses for his team. But they're really putting over this idea that Umino and Narita hate each other. But they really, really, really hate each other. Al finishes with the guys shaking hands. A good little match. Again, like nothing that blows you away, nothing that, pops you out of your seat, keeps you glued to the edge of it, whatever. And we had the open weight tag team titles. Strong open weight tag team titles, I should say. Where the duo of El Phantasmo and Hikuleo defeated the War Dogs duo of Alex Coughlin and Gabe Kidd. Couple of guys who were sick here with the flu as well. Kidd blindsides the baby faces here to start and launches ELP into the seats. The Dogs work over Hikuleo's leg. ELP in this match, by the way, has this tremendous sequence of high-flying offense. He gets a tag and he's just smooth and clean and he's doing beautiful shit. Rolling through a dive to the floor and then gets back in, does a springboard moonsault followed up with a lion salt. Like he's just... I know it sounds corny, but he was poetry in motion. Beautiful stuff. You'd be hard-pressed to find a guy like him, a guy his size and whatnot, weight, so on and so forth, just working as smooth as he does. Alex Coughlin, though, catches him, dumps him onto the floor. Of course, big, strong boy Alex Coughlin, gut wrench slam. Power slam by Hikuleo follows, UFO by ELP. The War Dogs land a Doomsday device, but it's the Thunder Kiss 86 that gets the job done, and we have new champions. And I don't know if it's the flu here. Probably, because I think Kid got affected. Look, this is one that I thought was really going to light it up. I really thought this was going to light up the place. No dice. And, we're keep trying to make Hikuleo work. Make him a thing. He's been worse. But I mean, I think Hikuleo in a tag team is a perfect little spot for him. How about that? I think that's fair analysis. I think this is a great spot for him. Especially with a guy like ELP who can do the showmanship. Then we had the never open weight 6-man tag team titles on the line, where Kazuchika Okada, Hiroshi Tanahashi, and Tomohiro Ishii successfully retained their titles against the Impact team of the Motor City Machine Guns and Josh Alexander. Now, I thought this was good, not great, and I had great expectations for this match. I thought this was that the floor here was 4 stars. But I don't think we reached it. I don't think it went that high. I had such higher expectations for this match, and I felt a little let down. I feel like this is a match that Josh Alexander could have used to really make a huge impression on the Japanese crowd. I'll tell you this. When he tagged in to the match, and his guy that he was paired up with was Tomohiro Ishii, was like, there you go. That's the guy you need. MVP Tom Ishii, he'll make you look like $1,000, Josh, and you'll be able to build on you'll be able to build on the foundations that he's going to be given to you in this match. But it didn't work. It didn't click. I mean, there's this spot where Ishii headbutts Alexander so hard that, Alexander's headgear flies off, and Alexander lands a chaos theory. Like, he was good. Again, good, but it doesn't feel, and to use, a bit of a tired expression, but it doesn't feel like the Impact guys grabbed the match by the throat. If that makes sense. Felt like a very good Thursday night match or a mid-card Impact pay-per-view match, but that's it. And Tanahashi in this match pinned Shelley, the Impact World Champion. Now, Alex Shelley pinned Tanahashi at the Multiverse show. Was it the Multiverse show? Yeah, it was a Multiverse show. So was this Tanahashi just getting his win back, or is he going to challenge for it? It's wild to me. Yeah, look, if there's no follow-up to this, it's going to be very strange. Politically, it's very strange. Does everyone, because I'm trying to say too many things at once. It'd be very strange because you're getting, you're asking one of your guys, your world champion, to do the job to a guy in another company, Does everyone bend the knee to New Japan except Tony Khan? I can understand, Impact bending the knee, where Gedo says, "No, my guy's gonna pin your world champion," and Gedo goes, "Okay," and Scott D'Amore goes, "Okie dokie." I can understand, New Japan throwing its weight around with Noah and DDT and All Japan. But TK always seems to get what he wants out of this relationship. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just observing. So, never open weight title match. Tama Tonga defeated David Finlay. Finlay belt shots Tama Tonga before the bell. Then after that, he rams him into the rails. Chair shots as Gedo distracts the ref. Then after he brings out a table, exposes the concrete floor. Okay, we're doing a plunder match. Tama lands some suplexes, a stinger splash, a pescado. Finlay gets back in control, lands a blue thunderbomb and a dominator. SRC by Tama Tonga, but David Finlay shoves him off the top ropes as he's going up for the Supreme Flow. Tama Tonga back body drops Dave Finlay on the apron, but Dave Finlay launches Tama into the ring post and then power bombs him through the table. We get gun stuns back in the ring. We're reversing in and out of moves, trading strikes to very little crowd noise. Styles clash by Tama Tonga, wakes up the crowd, and he wins with the dive shack driver. Again, nothing wrong with this match, okay? I thought, good, right? But I didn't feel anything. It didn't hit a next gear. It didn't. And when it comes to Tama Tonga and Dave Finlay, two guys who are pushed, and especially David Finlay, who is the leader of Bullet Club, a guy that Gedo has selected to replace Jay White. Where is, this might be similar to the Seth Rollins talk from earlier, but where is the big Dave Finlay match? Where is the match where you're like, this is Dave Finlay, this is the guy? Where is the big Tama Tonga match? This is Tama Tonga, this is the guy. Where is, and look, I'm talking matches, Can they have great matches without fighting Will Ospreay? You know what I mean? I know, like, they've had pretty good matches, but where's the consistent work that just makes these guys tremendous? I don't see it. I don't know. I mean, and it's not as if they're new to the business, right? It's not as if they're new to New Japan. They've been in this system for fucking years. So I think we're seeing their ceiling. I think we all sort of figured that this was Tama's ceiling, but a lot of us, myself, were ready to give him benefit of the doubt, see how this babyface push was going to work. But I haven't seen this great Tama Tonga performance, this great consistent output of great matches. And the same thing goes with Dave Finlay, who is being pushed and is super protected. And at this point, I'm asking why? His matches are fine. But what's the next level for these guys? I think this is it. I don't see main event considerations out of either of these guys. I think Tama Tonga and Dave Finlay are going to be eaten alive by the new crop of guys coming into the company. And I still like, specifically for both guys, I still like them both. I like explosive babyface Tama Tonga. I like, Bullet Club leader Dave Finlay flipping everything on his head. It's, no more t-shirt models, I want animals. And I think it's all good. But the key component, which is the in-ring work, is not following. And it's not as if they're bad wrestlers. It's just, where's the next gear? Where's the next level? And I don't feel it. So maybe this is it. Maybe this is it. Maybe never open weight title. I don't buy them on any other level. I don't buy, and I feel like at this point I should be buying Dave Finlay as a top guy, or at least a guy who can be like in the really truly upper mid card or lower main event heights. Not unlike a Shingo kind of thing. I don't see it. And we had the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title that was on the line in a three-way match where Hiromu Takahashi successfully retained his title against Mike Bailey and Yo. So Lio Rush was supposed to be the third man in here and he was out sick. And this was really good, but not as great as I expected it. It was fine and it was tremendously well worked. And I thought Yo put his working boots on. I thought he was great here. He was on fire for this. He was ready to make the most out of it, subbing in for Lio Rush. And it made sense. Like, I think he pinned Hiromu on a multi-man match on the last night of the tour. And it makes sense because he's also Lio Rush's partner. He did some little tributes to Lio Rush throughout the match as well. And Hiromu in the match, he plays it smart. He's like, you guys fight. I'll go wait over here. Like, that's what I'd do. And there's some really cool shit in this match. Bailey is super precise as always. He had this great little moment. It's just a small moment, but I really liked it in the match where he delivers a kick to Hiromu and Hiromu just weaves out of the way. And I'm like, that's so cool. He doesn't move out of the way. He doesn't duck. He doesn't do a big wrestling thing. He just sort of goes, just weaves. And I love that. Takahashi lands the time bomb and the time bomb 2 on Yo for the win. After Mike Bailey eats a direct drive by Yo, Mike Bailey is mad. I'm mad. Not mad. I'm disappointed because this was the match when Lio Rush was in here. And by the way, I had picked Lio Rush to win. This is the match here where I was looking forward to this match because when I was going to do my review, I was going to tell you all, yeah, the main event stunk, but at least we got this gem out of the show. And that didn't even happen. I don't know, again, good, strong work, like good, like I can't tell you it was a bad match. It's just no next gear, no feeling. Again, just a dry match happening on this card, which just felt this card never rose, it never lifted. It's all good, like it's all objectively good, you know? After the match, we get a surprise. The lights go out. They come back on. Taiji Ishimori is there. And he attacks Hiromu Takahashi. So, are we going back to Ishimori, junior champion? Could be. I like Taiji Ishimori. Always have. I think he's great. Stalwart of the division. Wrestles like none of the other juniors out there as well. He's a power junior. He's great. To note, he was not wearing any Bullet Club merch. I think it's fine if they just quietly move him on to anything else. It doesn't mean he's no longer in Bullet Club. But I think it's okay if he moves on, because Ishimori doesn't fit into this new Bullet Club anymore. Anyway, nice to have him back. Good to see that he's back from injury, that he's been cleared, that he's ready to go. Got a pretty scary bump, pretty scary injury. Glad he's okay. And then finally, we had the IWGP World Heavyweight title Lumberjack match. Not a defeated evil. Before the match starts, a special guest joins the Japanese commentary table. It is none other than Keiji Muto. And right then and there, all my defenses come up. And I was like, oh shit, what is going on? What is he doing? Why is he here? What's the problem? Does he smell blood? Does he smell blood in the water? Does he see the attendants tanking? What is he doing? What the fuck is happening here? They're on Abema TV. This one is being okay. Is he gonna start promoting WWE on what the fuck is he doing? It's Keiji Muto, a man that will never say no to a check if the price is high enough. He will wear whatever hat you want. He is the Snoop Dogg of Japanese pro wrestling. Kevin Kelly's hilarious here. As Muto is sitting down and, on English commentary, he's pretending to translate the questions that he's being that Muto's being asked by Japanese commentary. So how did you manage to shoehorn your way into this main event? I fucking lost it. Of course, he's there because of his connections with Sanada, but I didn't listen to the Japanese. My Japanese is non-existent outside of konnichiwa. Pretty important. Anyway, this was not good. The match, the lumberjack gimmick sucks. It has always sucked. Name me a great, and I mean not good, not fun, not a great, an excellent, a top of the line, memorable, great lumberjack match. Are y'all gonna pull out fucking Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose from, what was it, WrestleMania 15? Not 15, but 25. Who cares? Who the fuck cares? From 2015. Something like that. 214, 215. That's the one everyone always tells me. Well, Lauren, there's that one. But that's always the same fucking one they bring up. And you know what? It's good. I would never even call that great. It's good, but not great. Name me a great lumberjack match. A great one. And I'll tell you, they don't exist. It's a shit gimmick. And on top of it, just 5 guys are fucking terrible lumberjacks. Awful in their role. They can barely break through the lines of House of Torture. House of Torture's running rampant. They're just like, oh, we're knocked out. Ooh, fuck off. You guys are off. The only moment where Just Five Guys were of any use was when Evil tried to flee the building through the crowd at the 10-minute mark. And by the way, at the 10-minute mark, when they called the 10 minutes, I was like, Jesus Christ, it's only been 10 minutes. This was so long. We got 4 ref bumps in this match. This is the new standard of Evil matches, by the way. 4. And it's a snoozer. And there's so much of the usual House of Torture shenanigans. Like, it's not even creative. It's all the same bullshit. Now, Just Five Guys do get a moment where they get their shit together, and then they play the hits on every member of House of Torture, and then House of Torture are taken out, and everyone puts in their shit, and Sonata wins with Shining Wizard and a deadfall. But this was awful. It's almost as if some of the creative people in this company are seeing how successful WWE are with their bloodline main events, and they're like, hey, we could do that too. This sucked. "28 interminable minutes. The only way this was salvageable was for Evil to win. And again, look, like, Warren, you're a masochist, you're a nihilist, you just want the world to burn. Listen very closely. When Evil has deep ties with Naito, he came to second Tetsuya Naito when he challenged Hiroshi Tanahashi for the Wrestle Kingdom spot. I can't remember which Wrestle Kingdom it is off the top of my head. 14? I don't remember. But he was the guy who came in. It was in 2015 anyway. I don't remember I'm very bad with the numbered, but it was in 2015. He comes back, right? Takaki Watanabe comes back, seconds Naito. The next night, he's LIJ. He's a founding member. He betrays him years later. Like, they have the history to make this interesting. They have the history with Sonata too, but the difference is Sonata's a bag of dust. He's a bag of sawdust. No one cares. The Sonata experiment, I would consider overall to not be a positive one. Just do anything else. Have Naito overcome someone from his past. Not only that, but the most despised person in the company. Because is Sonata going to give us the work rate special for Wrestle Kingdom? I mean, Naito can get it out of him, right? Probably. But is that what we're going to get? Because we wouldn't have got it with Evil and Naito. But hear me out. Since I am in doubt that we're going to get it with Sonata as well, might as well go with the more compelling story of the two, right? This ended in such a flub for me. I just was not into it, despite the fact that I was a guy that was like, I'm a proponent of Evil getting another shot at the title, of winning the title. Anyway, that was Destruction in Ryogoku. I can't outright recommend this. It's a 4-hour show. If you count the pre-show, it's a little more. I can't recommend this. Skip Fastlane. Skip Ryogoku. Like, there's not even a match here where I'm like, go check this out. You've probably seen the highlights of Yumera's arrival in New Japan. That's fine. You'll probably see pictures of Ishimori popping up, and that's fine. But there's nothing here. There's no nuggets. There's no clusters of anything interesting to clasp onto. So no, let's just move on. And we are going to move on to CMLL Noche de Campeones 2023, which I watched a few days ago. It is an event that happened in CMLL on September 29 at Arena, Mexico. But hey, listen, if you listen, a few weeks ago, months ago at this point, when I was doing the G1, while I was doing my G1 recaps, and being really invested into it, people around me in my haunts and so everyone was telling me how great CMLL was, and I was like, you know what? When this G1 is done, I'm gonna get myself into CMLL. I'm gonna catch up. I'm gonna watch some good matches. I'm gonna get into some shows. And while I would be an absolute poser to come here and tell you, CMLL and then CMLL, and all the intricacies and that come with the promotion or how the show was built, I'd be a complete phony to do that. I do want to deepen my knowledge of CMLL and my appreciation, my understanding, and we're off to a rousing start because right now CMLL is doing tremendous work. If you want a promotion, we were talking about this before the recording actually started with the live chat. If you're completely disinterested with WWE these days, if you're a little bummed with AEW these days, which I can understand, you just want a place, you want to watch no nonsense pro wrestling, easy to watch, in and out, 2 hours you're done, kind of thing. CMLL is exactly that. So, because it's and even when we were talking about, where should I start to get into the storylines? It doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter because the storylines are just like, they're pro wrestling storylines. I want to challenge you for your title. I don't like you because you did this one thing in a match, or it's like right now, the big feud that's been set up, the big match that's been set up, I should say. I don't even know if it's going to boil into a feud. It's Templario, who won the big mask versus mask match at the 90th anniversary show a couple of weeks ago. And he's a super popular guy in the company, one of the top guys in the company. He said in a promo, where he's like, I'm the most popular guy in the company now. Well, there's Mystico. Yes, that Mystico, the Sin Cara Mystico from WWE from a few years ago. He's having a career resurgence actually right now. He pops in and he's like, hey, you're popular and all, but I'm the idol. I'm the guy. Maybe we should settle this in a ring. And I'm like, this is perfect. Like, this is what pro wrestling is. One guy talks a little shit, the other guy takes umbrage. He's like, hey, well, let's see who the top guy really is. And I think this is going to be like on Friday or something, or the shows are every Friday. There's shows every Friday, broadcast live on their YouTube channel. You have to be a member. You have to subscribe to the channel. You have to be you have to join the channel, which kind of like joining the MrWarrenHayes Show channel. And then you have access to the live Friday night shows from Arena Mexico. It's just no nonsense. It's great action. It's great pro wrestling, and it's different. It feels different because it's a whole different environment. And I watched the 90th anniversary show. Now it's been like weeks now. I feel stupid talking about it, but the Noche de Campeones happened 10 days ago. So I still feel it's relevant to talk about it. I'll talk about it quickly because we're going long on time, but I do want to give some thoughts here on this tremendous card, which was main evented by Titan successfully retaining, the LIJ Titan from New Japan, successfully retaining the CMLL World Welterweight Championship against Mascara Dorada. And this is a new Mascara Dorada, not Grand Metalik Mascara Dorada. When Grand Metalik went to WWE, he was Mascara Dorada, went to WWE, changed his name to Grand Metalik. Then he left WWE, went back to Mascara Dorada, and then went back to CMLL for a while, and then they had a new kid with whom they called Mascara Dorada 2.0. And then the OG Mascara Dorada had a falling out with CMLL, so he left, but CMLL kept the Mascara Dorada gimmick, passed it on officially to the kid, so he's no longer 2.0, he's just Mascara Dorada. And the Grand Metalik Mascara Dorada is now known as Metalik on the scene. Does that all make sense? Good. So the Mascara Dorada that we have here is a 21-year-old prodigy, just one of these kids who's so just disgustingly good at pro wrestling when they are literal babies. And he is tremendous. Like, this kid is going to be a superstar. A true to form superstar, and the crowd already loves him. And he was in the ring with Titan, and everyone was hyping this one up. They were saying, Warren, keep your eyes on this one. This one's going to rule. It's going to be tremendous, and they were right. Like, I think it's a match of the year. I think it's a 5-star match. I think I think it was tremendous. Insane little and creative spots, right, where you have. Let me get my notebook here. You have this tremendous sequence where Dorada he rope hangs, I guess, he rope hangs Titan over the barricade as he's flying over the barricade. So Dorada lands on the other side of the barricade, and then he just dives over for a fantastic sequence. Look, I have trouble describing it. That's most things lucha. It's just, he is a tremendous athlete. Both of these guys are. And the story here was so good because Titan is the champion, and he, older, wiser, a vet, and Mascara Dorada came multiple times, so close to winning the match. Even at the very end when he's in the submission move and he's reaching out to try and clasp onto he can't quite make it. Like, everything is so close. We're so close every single time to making it. The drama was just fantastic. Everything was great. This is one that I absolutely suggest you check out. It's let me see, 20 minutes. 20 minutes that feels like 10. Like, it is a blast. It was an absolute blast to watch. Titan, tremendous year. CMLL, New Japan with his Best of Super Juniors run, just absolutely tremendous stuff. Like a true to form, great year that he's having. So that was awesome. If we run down the card, let's say from bottom to top, then, because the main event is the main event is absolutely tremendous. I can't recommend it enough. You should absolutely take the time to check it out. We had El Barbaro Caverniero, the barbarian of the caves, basically, versus Esfinge. This was for the World Light Heavyweight title. This was very good. Like, right off the bat, this match was a ton of fun. Caverniero lands tremendous springboards, top rope to the floor. Huge spot. There's a huge splash from the top turnbuckle to the floor as well. He does hammerlock suplexes and slingshot reverse splashes. I was told by people who watch it, who've been watching it longer than me, that Cabernero here seemed to have a little more spark, a little more oomph to what he usually does, and they were very much pleasantly surprised, and so was I. Like, this was tremendous stuff. The match comes to an end with a leg lace pin. Just fantastic stuff. A great opener. We had Stephanie Vaquer defeating La Catalina for the vacant CMLL World Women's title. So Vaquer is once again women's champion. La Catalina, you may remember her. You may remember her because she was in WWE for a short while, from 2019 to 2021. Katrina Cortez, I think she was referred to as in WWE, or for a while anyway. I'm just looking at here. She was called Katrina Cortez, and she was, she had a couple of names, Carolina, and she was accompanying Sin Cara for a while. I don't know if you remember all that, the Hunico Sin Cara, right? So she's in CMLL against Stephanie Vaquer, who, as you know, is becoming less and less of an obscure name thanks to her tremendous match with Mercedes Monet a couple of months ago for the Strong Women's Championship tournament. And she's a tremendous worker. And this match was very good. And a very, very brutal match by Vaquer, and Catalina was right on point as well. So nothing embarrassing, nothing that you're like, oh, well, they're not so good. No, this was very good. This was on par with pretty much everything else on the show. I liked it better than a couple of other matches as well. Strong stuff. And again, like, this is the kind of match that I look at. And, you know, when I look at, you know, the state of women's wrestling in North American promotions, well, I know Mexico's in North America, but bear with me here. In the United States, let's say. When I look at the when I look at the state of promotions of women's wrestling in these promotions, and I look at this, I'm like, no, literally watch anything else. Literally watch anything else. You'll be delighted. This stuff rules. Then a fun match for the World Mini Estrella title, where Mercurio defeated Piero Tito. But that was pretty fun too. You know, it's not, and it's the mini title, but not like, when I saw this, I was like, oh, is it going to be like little people, dwarfisms? No. It's like smaller wrestlers, like just, you know, maybe shorter, maybe lighter. I'm not quite sure but you know. I thought it was very good. Then you had Místico, who was on this card, defending his world historic middleweight title against Virus. And this was, look, Místico he's over like crazy. He's John Cena. He's the guy. He is absolutely the guy. And he comes out to the hugest reactions you'll hear in the entire show. And, you know, he puts on, he plays his hits. People get excited for them. He's crazy over. And he's getting up there in age too, right? Well, Christ, okay, I thought he was older than this. He's 40? Is that all? He's only 40. 1990. No, that doesn't make sense. I think we need a little update here. No, okay, could be. All right. But listen, he's been wrestling for a while, like over 2 decades. It's tremendous. And crowd is into him. And a great match with Virus, who was a tremendous technical wrestler, but we didn't get like usual Virus kind of a typical Virus type of match. It wasn't very technical. It followed mystical patterns, I guess. But it was still super entertaining. I thought it was a blast. So yeah, I mean, look, this was absolutely tremendous, and it's great to hear the crowd on top of that as well. And finally, we had a 6-man tag. Dulce Gardenia, Espiritu Negro, and Rey Cometa, the Atrapasueños, who took on the trio of Apocalipsis, Cholo, yes, there is a wrestler named Cholo, and Disturbio, which was probably my least favorite match of the night. Pretty good, though. A lot of stalemating, big segment, heat segment by the Rudos in this one, and they get the win with a wacky. They get the win with a wacky sort of 3-man submission as well. So I think this is a match that's worth your time, and that you can probably find out there, and it is available on the CMLL YouTube stuff at this point, and it's tremendous stuff. And you'll start to hear me talk more and more about CMLL as I get more comfortable. Because as you can tell, I don't want to fake my way through this. Come along on the journey with me is what I'm trying to say. As my knowledge improves and I get better at this and I get to know the people better, and I don't butcher their pronunciations. So that, that's what I'm excited for moving forward. So I hope you guys, gals and non-binary pals, are into it as well. And we are going to wrap things up tonight. Very super extra. I can't begin to tell you how fast and quick we're going to go through this. The Royal Quest III preview. New Japan is having their newest tradition, their new annual UK pay-per-view happening this weekend, October 14 at the Copper Box in London, England. And besides, the full card hasn't been announced yet. It's going to be maybe by the time you listen to this, you'll be like, oh, Warren, we have the full card. Full card hasn't been announced yet. They're going to be doing a press conference, I believe, 2 a.m. Eastern tonight. So, hey, we're not going to make it that long. It's going to be main evented, the show, by Will Ospreay versus Zack Sabre Jr. for the IWGP United States / UK Heavyweight Championship. That's your selling point right there. That's your show. That's why you want to watch. The match is going to rule. Zack just came out of a match of a lifetime 2 weeks ago. And now he's going to fight Will, with whom they have always had chemistry. They've always worked well together. But this has all the potential to be like just on another level. Also, I have Shingo Takagi versus Tomohiro Ishii, a good old crowd pleaser here. Can never say no to Shingo versus Tom Ish. Then we'll have Hiroshi Tanahashi, Eddie Kingston, and Michael Oku taking on the United Empire trio of Hinare, Jeff Cobb, and TJP. I think that I think the main story to come out of this is Kingston and Hinare, who have an upcoming New Japan Strong Openweight title match. So there's probably going to be some stuff related to that happening here. This should be fun. Yota Tsuji versus Luke Jacobs. Luke Jacobs had a match of the year at the Rev Pro show over Wembley weekend with Tomohiro Ishii. It was a big star-making moment for him. And now he's heading in here with huge Chuge. It's going to be great. I'm excited for it. Just let them run into each other. It's going to be dope. And then El Desperado coming in as the babyface against Trent Seven. Shaping up to be a really nice card. Really nice card. That's happening this weekend, October 14. And the fun thing, it's happening in the UK, so it's in the afternoon for those of us here on the Eastern Seaboard. Dope. You know what else is dope? The weekly wrestling inspection being wrapped up. This is one of these editions where my voice, I completely shot my voice. I'm sorry about that, but I can feel the strain on my voice right now, so I'm sorry. But I'm glad you all stuck around here till the very end, and especially for a live recording on a Monday night, because yes, we record the Mr. Warren Hayes show live on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes. Typically, we record it on Tuesdays. But we did a little special something here. So I hope you enjoyed this special edition of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show. If you did like the video, if you're watching this on YouTube, or leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or a 5-star rating on Spotify. Those things help out tremendously to grow the podcast and make it bigger, better, stronger, faster. Maybe not faster. But I will be back on Wednesday. That's right, for the AEW Dynamite review, because Wednesday is on Tuesday. Because Dynamite is on Tuesday. I don't want to confuse you more than it already is. Dynamite is on Tuesday, so I'll be here on Wednesday with the Dynamite review. We'll be back then on Sunday for the Collision review, so we're going to still have a good time moving forward here. Consider joining the YouTube channel, subscribing, following, all that good stuff. There you go. I think that's about it. We've run through everything. Hope you enjoy Title Tuesday. NXT Dynamania. It's going to be a real one. Thanks for being here, folks. I'll see you next time.